something.
Good afternoon, guys. So I'm back for another stream. I'm going to be looking at vocals now. So looking at my Trello music organization, we're working on this track here, Something Deep Inside. So I've come up with a new idea today. I actually had a look at some ideas for this track, some things I'm going to try. So I've got a long list of things I'm going to try on this track. And now for the final session of today on my music, I'm going to look at this track. Now, this is something we recorded ages ago, but I finally got around to doing the production. And I'm going to start comping the vocals. So this is a collaboration with Andre Espeut, who I did. Actually, you know what? I should probably pronounce his name a little bit better, seeing as I did the French at uni. So I'm guessing it's Andre Espeut. So this is Andre's Spotify page. So we did Better Love together. And he's an amazing singer. And we've got these vocals recorded. So basically, this is all completely dry. And I think Andre's done a little bit of comping of takes that he liked. But I'm just basically going to probably do about an hour's work on this. I'm going to set the timer for 50 minutes, actually, and I'll just see what I can get done in 50 minutes. So this is going to be like, I haven't prepared anything. You know, this is just, I'm just basically filming what I would be doing in the studio to work on these vocals. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is looking at the organization, comping things, seeing what's what. So let's have a little blast of the track. So it's kind of a real housey kind of roller with some nice keys and stuff. Let me just shut iTunes. Go away. Okay. So I'm just going to mute some of these later takes down here.
You gotta look if you're gonna find something deep inside everyone. You gotta look, maybe you won't. Only you decide where you can go. Take me there when you go.
Okay. So you get the idea. I'm just going to copy down, make some extra tracks.
I'll hold you up, gonna be by your side. Moments can fly in the heat of the night. Yeah. Still waiting there, and I need your reply. Still waiting there, wanna hold you tonight. You gotta look, you gotta.
Okay. Sorry, let me just mute this. So, hi guys, everyone who's tuning in. Hi Rob, how's it going? Hi 2K, hope you're good. Okay, cool. So, I'm going to. I need to organise things a little bit here because we're a little bit all over the place in terms of where things are. So, I'm just going to get this a little bit more dialed in terms of organisation, and I want to start with the main vocals and then work back from there. So we've got two layers. This is something Andre often does, is record a low layer and a high layer, which is really cool.
You gotta look if you're gonna find something deep inside everyone. You gotta look, maybe you won't. Only you decide where you can go. Take me there when you go.
Brilliant. And we've got a low part here as well, I think. So we can name these.
You gotta look.
There used to be a shortcut in Logic for naming multiple things at the same time. I don't know why it's gone. Used to be able to select it, double click. Chorus. Yeah, and it would name them. It would chronologically name them. It's really annoying that it's gone. Now you have to tab across. It's just probably, if anyone knows if we can get that feature back, because I think I have Googled it and I couldn't find anything, but it was just so useful. I don't know why they got rid of it. Okay, so chorus high, and then we've got chorus low. Oops. Chorus low, we've got that as well.
You're gonna find something deep inside everyone. You gotta look, maybe you won't. Only you decide where you can go. Take me there when you go.
So there is actually an ad-lib which comes in here, which I'm going to make and copy across.
I'll hold you up, gonna be by your side. Moments can fly in the heat of the night.
So this is kind of the verse vocal that comes in here, kind of the main verse vocal really, just coming in here. So, whoops. Oops. Main.
Be by your side. Moments can fly in the heat of the night. Yeah. Still waiting there, and I need your reply. Still waiting there, wanna hold you tonight.
Okay, so then we've got the chorus coming back in here, so I'm going to copy across these parts here.
Still waiting there, wanna hold you tonight. You gotta look, you're gonna find something deep inside everyone. You gotta look, maybe you won't. Only you decide where you can go. Take me there when you go.
Something deep inside everyone. So it goes across there.
Decide where you can go. Take me there when you go.
Let me just think about this.
Hold you tonight. You gotta look, you're gonna find something deep inside everyone. You gotta look, maybe you won't. Only you decide where you can go. Take me there when you go.
You do the same. I think it's something like this.
Take me there when you go. You're gonna find something deep inside everyone. You gotta look, maybe you won't. Only you decide where you can go. Take me there when you go.
Something deep inside, something deep inside, something deep inside, something deep. Take me there if you go. So we need that coming again here. Take me.
Take me there when you go.
Okay, so we got coming back in now with the so we've got a second verse now.
You mean so much to me.
Energy, still waiting there. Need your reply. Still waiting there.
Wanna hold you tonight. I'll hold you up. You mean so much to me. Time after time, you're my energy. You're my energy. Still waiting. I'll hold you up.
You mean so much to me. Time after time, you're my energy. Still waiting there, I need your love. Still waiting there, I hold you till you can't look. Okay, so we're coming back in with the chorus there. Not like that. Like this, I think.
You're gonna find, need your reply. Still waiting there, when I hold you tonight. You gotta look, you're gonna find something deep inside everyone. You gotta look, maybe you won't. Only you decide where you can go. Take me there when you go.
Deep inside me. I think I'll repeat again there. Something deep inside, 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 something deep.
Take me there when you go. You're gonna find something deep inside everyone. You gotta look, maybe you won't. Only you decide where you can go. Take me there when you go.
Something deep inside, something deep inside, something deep inside, deep inside, something deep inside, something deep inside, something deep. Take me there if you go. The thing is that I mapped out a very rough version of this with vocals that Andre sent me on his phone. And I actually really need to play that rough version so I can remember where everything goes. But Andre would literally never speak to me again, I think, if I played the version with him singing on the phone on a live stream. So I'm not going to do that. So I want to say hi to Laurent and Ash, who joined in. How's it going, guys? Hope you're good. Ash, hope you're enjoying your new monitors if they've arrived. Okay, so what I'm just thinking that I've probably done this in quite an inefficient way in some ways, because what I've done is copied across the vocals, which I need to edit, which is a bit stupid because I'm going to have to recopy them across. But at least I've done an outline of where things go. So what it's supposed to do is,
Something deep inside.
so actually the drop is supposed to go.
Take me there when you go.
Something deep inside, something deep inside, something deep. So I chopped out a bit of his vocal and just looped it across the drop. So that's what I'm going to do eventually. But I'm actually going to jump in and start editing this, so I can then get the stuff covered across properly. So a mistake people make when they're producing vocals is they kind of put the cart before the horse in some ways. So they jump into EQ, compression, saturation, or whatever else. But the most important thing to do with the vocals is clean them up, because if you all the stuff in between, all the little noise, all the breaths that aren't supposed to be there, you slap effects on there, reverbs, compressors, delays. You're just delaying that noise. You're reverberating that noise. You're compressing that noise, bringing it up. You're EQing it, so it's coming forward. It's boring. I actually perversely love editing vocals. In fact, I just love working with vocals, full stop. I think it's the ultimate. Basically, the human ear is more sensitive to vocals than it is to anything else. So it's kind of, I love that aspect of working with vocals, is that it's kind of the ultimate instrument. It's the instrument we all possess, that we can all use and all have used. We're so tuned into it and so sensitive to it. It's just, yeah, I just think it's the ultimate instrument to work with, is the human voice.
You've gotta look. You've gotta look.
There's a little bit of gunk in between there. Now, what I could do actually, just to save time, would be to do this on multiple tracks. That would probably be a sensible thing to do. Now, I do have some kind of some pretty amazing tools for editing vocals, for like timing and stuff like that. Now the chances are I'll probably send these away to be tuned. Not that Andre, needs much tuning, but all vocals are tuned these days, really, aren't they? So it's all those little mouth clicks. You don't need to take the breaths out necessarily.
Maybe you wanna look. Maybe
You don't want to take out the end of the word.
Maybe you wanna look. Maybe you want only you.
There's a nice breath there.
Decide where you decide. You decide where you can go. You decide where you can go. Take me there when you go.
Okay, so let's just apply. I forgot to chop it out on the other takes.
Everyone, you gotta look at everyone.
Now I could have tried gating this vocal. Well, let's just play these all together. So this is what I'm talking about. So this kind of stuff. We don't want that in our track. I need it. All the little mouth noises.
You gotta look if you're gonna find.
So I've cut off the k.
You gotta look if you're gonna find something.
So don't worry about the clicks. We're going to deal with those in a second.
Gonna find something deep inside everyone. You gotta look. Maybe you won't. Only you decide. You won't. You won't. Only you decide where you can go. Take me there when you go.
Okay, so let me just apply fades to these.
You gotta look if you're gonna find something deep inside everyone. You gotta look, maybe you won't. Only you decide where you can go. Take me there when you go.
Okay, so let's try this in the track.
You gotta look if you're gonna find something deep inside everyone. You gotta look, maybe you won't. Only you decide where you can go. Take me there when you go. You gotta look if you're gonna find something deep inside everyone. You gotta look, maybe you won't. Only you decide where you can go. Take me there when you go. You gotta look if you're gonna find something deep inside everyone. You gotta look, maybe you won't. Only you decide where you can go. Take me there when you go.
Okay, so that is those parts edited. I've just panned it a little bit just to hear what it sounds like.
You gotta look if you're gonna find something deep inside everyone. You gotta look, maybe you won't. Only you decide where you can go. Take me there when you go. You gotta look, maybe you won't.
I want to get a bit tighter on these ones here.
Maybe you won't. Only you decide where you can go. Take me there when you go.
Go a bit tighter on these. You got to decide whether you want the breath or not.
Only you decide where you can go. Take me there when you go.
I'm going to try and chop these a bit short. Sometimes if you have longer tails on some of the words, as long as the main vocal doesn't have it, you can kind of get away with chopping it.
Take me there when you go.
Let's try that in the track.
Only you decide where you can go. Take me there when you go. When you go.
Okay.
You gotta look if you're gonna find something deep inside everyone. You gotta look, maybe you won't. Only you decide where you can go. Take me there when you go.
So I can't really hear anything that really needs to be worked on in terms of tuning or timing. It all sounds pretty tight, really.
You gotta look if you're gonna find something deep inside everyone. You gotta look, maybe you won't. Only you decide where you can go. Take me there when you go.
Okay.
You gotta look if you're gonna find something. You gotta look if you're gonna find something deep inside.
Okay, so let's copy this across to here. Let me just see where I need to copy it to.
You gotta look. You gotta look.
Okay. 49.
You gotta look if you're gonna find something deep inside everyone. You gotta look, maybe you won't. Only you decide where you can go. Take me there when you go. Something deep inside everyone. You gotta look, maybe you won't. Only you decide where you can go. Take me there when you go. gotta look, maybe you won't. Only you decide where you can go. Take me there when you go. You're gonna find something deep inside everyone. You gotta look, maybe you won't. Only you decide where you can go. Take me there when you go. Take me there when you go.
Okay, so as I said, there's normally a bit that goes something deep inside, which is going to loop across here, but I don't want to copy all those across until I've done the editing. So before we get on to actually, let's do the verse main as well, the same thing.
I'll hold you
So
up.
listen to all that. So that is what we don't need. So yeah, you can gate this, but I personally just prefer to chop it out.
I'll hold you up. Gonna be by your side.
It sounds a bit phasey there. I'm not sure why that is.
You up. Gonna be by your side. 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 You up. Moments can fly. Moments can fly. Moments can fly. Moments can fly. Moments can fly in the heat of the
So I'm not doing the fades because it's easier to do it all in one go at the
of the
end.
night, yeah. Still waiting there, and of the night, yeah. Still waiting there.
So that's quite a nice little ad lib, but I want that to be on its own track because I might treat that differently.
Of the night, yeah. Of the night, yeah. Still waiting there, and I there, and I need there, and I need there,
Something you can also do as well when you have lots of breaths is only take one of the breaths.
there, and I need your
It can be a bit cleaner.
there, and I need your reply.
Otherwise you get like just massive breaths and they're already layered and it sounds a bit weird.
Still waiting there.
So like that, it's different between this. It's all kind of a bit all over the place. The breaths there.
Still waiting. Still waiting there.
It's a bit more tight like that.
Waiting there. Wanna hold.
Let's try it here as well.
Waiting there. Wanna hold you tonight. Waiting there. Wanna hold you tonight.
So once I've got all these vocals dialed in, I'm going to run them through this outboard down here, through my preamp and my compressor.
I'll hold you up. Gonna be by your side. Moments can fly. Be by your side. Moments can fly. Be by your side. Moment be by your side.
Something else you could do as well is you can kind of chop out.
Be by your side. Be by your side.
You can just leave the end of one of the words if they're all coming at different
Be by your
points.
side.
It's a bit
Moments
cleaner
can fly.
again.
Be by your side. Be by your side.
These were all the hard consonant of the T they were all in different places, which can sound a bit metty.
Gonna be by your side. Moments can fly.
I don't know if we need that breath. Let's listen to it in the track.
I'll hold you up. Gonna be by your side. Moments can fly in the heat of the night. Yeah. Still waiting there.
Can't really hear it, to be honest.
Still waiting there. Still waiting there.
It's not there, that's why. Is it here?
Moments can fly.
Can't hear it, in which case don't need it.
Moments can fly in the heat of moments. Still waiting there, and I need your reply. Still waiting there, wanna hold you tonight. You gotta look, you're gonna find something deep inside everyone. You gotta look, maybe you won't.
So I just want to say hi to Martin and Alan who are tuning in. That's one, guys. Okay, cool. So let's Let's carry on with this second verse.
I'll hold you up. I'll hold you up. You mean so much to me. I'll hold you up. You mean so much to me. Time after time, you're my energy. I'll hold you up. You mean so much to me. Time after time, you're my energy. I'll hold you up. You mean so much to me. Time after time, you're my energy. Still waiting there, and I need your reply. Still waiting there, and I need your reply. Still waiting there, wanna hold you tonight. I'll hold your reply. Still waiting there, wanna hold you tonight. Wanna hold you tonight.
Okay, let's get the fades on there.
I'll hold you up, you mean so much to me. Time after time, you're my energy. Still waiting there, I need your reply. Still waiting there, wanna hold you tonight. You gotta look, you're gonna find something deep inside everyone. You gotta look, maybe you won't. Only you decide where you can go. Take me there when you go. You're gonna find something deep inside everyone. You gotta look.
Okay, cool. So I've chopped out all the stuff that we don't need. That's the first step. Now, it's important with vocals that it's not essential, but if you really want to get a great vocal sound, I think it's definitely worthwhile, is to have consistent level pre-compressor. So if I put a compressor on here, these are actually all dialed in pretty well, but you may end up, there was one moment on the second verse, I think it was, where things felt like they dipped quite a lot in terms of level. Let's see if it's on here. Whoops.
I'll hold you up, you mean so much to me. Time after time, you're my energy. Still waiting there, and I need your reply.
So like there.
Still waiting.
Let's just put a VU meter on. Basically, the compressor is going to be reacting in a different way if you've got a different level coming in.
Still waiting there, and I need your reply.
So maybe towards the end of this word here.
Still waiting there, and I need your reply.
So reply, this is quite low in level. So the compressor is going to be compressing these parts here more than it is this part here. And you find that the compressor's doing more work. And actually, you get a more transparent compression sound if you feed the compressor a pretty level signal. Now, you may be thinking, okay, well, but that's going to take away like accents and groove and stuff like that. That's kind of true. I mean, those kind of things can be also a tonal thing as well, but also you can always ride those things back in with volume automation. In fact, you should ride them back in with volume automation. But like say on this track here,
still waiting there, need your reply.
I think I've chopped this out too much actually by accident. There we go.
Still waiting there, and I need your reply.
Yeah, it's not as bad as I thought it was actually. It sounded like it was a lot quieter when I was playing it back. But yeah, so that's the take out of this. So what I used to do is go through with a VU meter and try, and let me just move that VU meter onto the master and try and kind of get the vocals to be like it kind of in a certain zone on the VU meter.
I'll hold you up, gonna be by your side.
It's gone mono for some reason. Okay, let's find that again and put the stereo one on. It's a really useful plugin if you don't have a VU meter. Gives you a good, shows you kind of perceived volume.
You've gotta look if you're gonna find
So you could go through
something deep inside everyone.
and kind of
You've gotta look, maybe you
and dial it in syllable by syllable to make sure you got the right level. But I've got a better way of doing that thanks to Isotope, and that's using Nectar 3. They've got a kind of like a kind of averagizer.
You've got to look
So let's say we
if you're
wanted
gonna find something deep inside everyone.
the vocal to hang around a certain level.
Maybe you want
With this,
only
stop. With this control here, you can basically set a level you want it to work to, and it'll try and match the vocal around that level, so it'll kind of volume ride it. It's very transparent.
You've gotta look if you're gonna find something deep inside everyone. You got
I need to do a bit of better editing here, I think.
gotta look if you're gonna find something deep inside everyone. You gotta look
There's a little bit of
everyone,
mouth noise there. Can I get rid of that?
everyone. You gotta look. Maybe you won't. Only you decide where you can go. Take me there when you go.
Okay.
You've gotta look if you're gonna find something deep inside everyone. You gotta
Let's try and get a bit higher.
look. Maybe you won't. Only you decide where you can go. Take me there when you go.
So trying to average out the vocal to be at that level. So it means you don't have to ride it yourself.
Gotta look if you're gonna find something deep inside everyone. You gotta look. Maybe you won't. Only you decide where you can go. Take me there when you go. You've gotta look if you're gonna find something deep inside everyone. You gotta look. Maybe you won't. Only you decide where you can go. Take me there when you go. You've gotta look if you're gonna find something deep inside everyone. You gotta look. Maybe you won't. Only you decide where you can go. Take me there when you go.
So it's still a little bit up and down. I just wonder. I'm just going to try this out. I'm going to try it in conjunction with Vocal Rider and see what happens. So what I do with this normally is set quite a gentle range, like ±2, and then hover this around the top of the vocal.
You're gonna find something deep inside everyone. You gotta look. Maybe you won't. Only you decide where you can go. Take me there when you go. You've gotta look.
Yeah, that feels pretty good. Feels
You've gotta look.
really solid.
If you're gonna
So let's listen to the track. So this is no compression whatsoever.
You've gotta look if you're gonna find something deep inside everyone. You gotta look, maybe you won't. Only you decide where you can go. Take me there when you go.
So you can hear how that's really solid in the track without any compression. So I'm going to run it through my outboard anyway, but just to put a compressor on quickly.
You've gotta look if you're gonna find something deep inside everyone. You gotta look, maybe you won't. Only you decide where you can go. Take me there when you go.
So you can see we've got really consistent compression. It's not going wah and a little bit.
You've gotta look if you're gonna find something deep inside everyone. You gotta look, maybe you won't. Only you decide where you can go. Take me there when you go.
Yeah, so I'm going to take that off because, as I said, it's going to go through the outboard. But yeah, hopefully you can hear from that using this technique, and to be honest, I don't normally use both of them, but I think that sounds good, so I'm going to leave it on. We're going to get a really solid take, and I'm going to bounce these down with these effects on, and then Let's listen to them together.
You gotta look if you're gonna find something deep inside everyone. You gotta look, maybe you won't. Only you decide where you can go. Take me there when you go.
You can hear that.
If you're gonna find something deep inside everyone. You gotta look, maybe you won't. Only you decide where you can go. Take me there when you go.
So that's no compression, no EQ. There's nothing. That's just a dry vocal recorded. I mean, obviously, the most important thing is Andre has an amazing voice. That's the most important thing. But also using this volume kind of averaging tool, the Vocal Rider and the Nectar, you're able to keep the vocal nice and consistent, which is important. Okay, so let's copy this across. I'm just going to make these mono, and then what I'm going to do, I'm going to bounce these in, these main vocals, and then the verse main. I've got to be careful because I think there's some volume automation that may have been put in by Andre. I can't see it now, so that's fine. So I'm just going to reset these levels. So we're at kind of unity gain. Let's just make sure that that's okay.
You gotta look if you're gonna find something deep inside everyone. You gotta look, maybe you won't. Only you decide where you can go. Take me there when you go. Be by your side. I'll hold you up. Gonna be by your side. Moments can fly in the heat of the night. Yeah. Still waiting there, and I need your reply. Still waiting there, wanna hold you tonight. You gotta look if you're gonna find something deep.
So obviously don't worry about any of the volume and the mix and stuff. Obviously we haven't started doing that yet. So what I can do now is come up to tracks, bounce, regions in place, no, track in place, I think. And it will keep the same folder structure, sorry, the same track structure, but I'll have all those things bounced, printed. So I don't want to bypass effects, keep the sound the same, including volume pan doesn't make any difference. So now we should have these effects now printed on there. So that layer of processing is done. So I've chopped out the things I don't need. I've made it nice and average and level. And then I can start working some of these other takes that we have here. So that's how I like to kind of work, is in layers. I've got it named as well. And I might not use all these tracks, but then maybe I could build it up so the last chorus has 4 layers, and maybe the first chorus only has a couple of layers, but that's something I can look at later down the line. Okay, so let's call this Harry Rainbox. Oops. Pumped. Save, so we can get rid of these now. I was hoping it would just get rid of them anyway, but it hasn't, but that's fine. And maybe I'll color these. I'll colour these pink to say that they're done.
You gotta look if you're gonna find something deep inside everyone. You gotta look, maybe you won't. Only you decide where you can go.
So these are somehow lower in level, but
I'll hold you up, gonna be by your side.
I'm not sure why that is, but that's fine.
Moments can fly in the heat of the night. Still waiting there, and I need your reply. Still waiting there.
I've got this switched on so that these waveforms all look much bigger than they actually are. So don't worry about that.
I'll hold you up, gonna be by your side. Moments can fly in the heat of.
So this
If you're gonna find something deep inside.
so the drop is supposed to have this here as well.
Decide where you can go. Take me there when you go. Something deep
So it's supposed to go
when you go.
something deep inside.
So go. Something deep. Something deep inside.
Inside, something deep inside, something deep inside.
There when you go. Something deep inside.
They changed the shortcut for that. Maybe not.
Take me there when you go. Something deep inside. Something deep inside.
Something deep inside.
Something deep inside. Something deep inside. Something deep inside. Something deep inside. Something deep inside. Something deep inside.
So it's supposed to kind of go like that.
Something deep inside. Something deep inside. Something deep inside. Something deep inside. Something you go. Something deep inside. 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 Something deep. I'll hold you up. Gonna be by your side.
There's also another ad lib which kind of forms the call and response with that something deep vocal. So we'll put that in place.
Decide where you can go. Take me there when you go. Something deep inside. Something deep inside. Something deep inside. Something deep inside.
Now I may use a layered vocal for that, but
Something
I can always add them in later.
deep inside. Something deep. I'll hold you up.
Gonna be by your side. Moments get light in the beat of the night. Still waiting there, I need your reply. Still waiting there, and I told you tonight.
You gotta look.
You gotta find
Something deep inside everyone.
You gotta look, maybe you won't. Only you decide where you can go. Let me there when you go. So you gotta find something deep inside everyone. You gotta look, maybe you won't. Only you decide where you can go. Take me there when you go. Something deep inside, 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 something deep inside. Take me there when you go.
Something deep inside. 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 Something deep. I'll hold you up. You mean so much to me. Time after time, you're my energy. Still waiting there. I need your
still waiting there. I want you to you look.
You're gonna find something deep inside
Everyone, you gotta look. You can walk. Only you decide where you can go.
Take me there when you go. You're gonna find
Something deep inside everyone. Look, maybe you won't. Only you decide where you can go. Take me there when you go.
something deep inside, something deep inside,
Something deep inside, something deep
inside,
something deep inside, something deep inside, something deep.
take me there when you go. Something deep inside, something deep.
Yep, that's all laid out properly, I think. That's of course me just dropping the organ solo there. Not really. So I need to remember what goes in here. There's more vocals in there, but as I said, I don't want to play the rough mix because I don't think Andre would like me to. So I've got 1 minute left, so we'll probably have to say we'll leave it there. So I'm going to bounce this out because that tells me that I can put it into Trello and I can see the progress I've made. There you go, time's up. Bounce that. So again, every day, just trying to push music forward, push lots of different tracks forward. You know, don't get hung up on the fact that it's not finished, or you know, it's just keeping fresh. You know, I came up with a new idea today, which was pretty average, I think, but it's fine. I also looked at this track and came up with some ideas of things I want to try on it. So it's just every day pushing multiple ideas towards a finish line. Fox, one. Yeah, so just trying to get multiple tracks finished, as much music finished as possible, and also give my brain, you know, a rest by working on multiple different things. So editing vocals is a totally different headspace to coming up with a new idea. You know, one of them is far more cognitively taxing than the other. So if you kind of like assign tasks so that when you're not going to be as fresh, you know, you could be doing stuff like this or EQing, you know, a mix down, stuff like that. You know, there's, you know, it's just trying to factor in things. So you basically make sure your brain is working on tasks that are appropriate for kind of the time of the day and how awake you are and how fresh you are. Because all these things need to be done, you know, it needs to be, the vocals need to be edited. So it's a good idea to kind of keep it on a Wednesday afternoon when it's boiling hot, and you know, it's a good time to do that. Now I would, you know, I quite enjoy editing vocals, but the tuning I've started to outsource because, as I said, the guy who does it's better than me, and it takes forever. So it's kind of, you know, I quite enjoy tuning, but it's quite hard because I'm not a singer, as you probably heard from when I was attempting to do harmonies just then. So you know, it's easier for me to send it to somebody else and get them to do it. But doing this editing stuff, if I knew someone who could do that for me, I'd probably outsource that as well because it does take a long time. But I also kind of quite enjoy it as well, even though it's kind of lots of repetitive tasks. So yes, I've added that in there. So that's gone into Trello. And that is going to be it for today. So let's have a look what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. So what have I got? What did I put in? Yeah, so I'm going to be doing another one of those, trying to make music using those keys that I recorded. I'm doing another little session on that. I'm also going to look at some of these things that I want to try on this track, which I'm really excited about working on actually. So I'm kind of debating whether to send this to singers and try and get a top line for it, because I think it's a really cool beat actually. But yeah, I've got a load of stuff. I don't know if you didn't watch it. I did a video probably a week ago, maybe a couple of weeks ago, about coming up with your own sound. So that's how I do it. Is actually this morning I spent literally about an hour going through Spotify lists of sounds that I love, and I'm trying to convert them all to Apple loops. Actually, that's my kind of plan, is to have a whole body of Apple loops ready to go. So a lot of these sounds I can just just call upon really, really quickly, which is going to make life a lot easier and a lot quicker. But it also means you end up making music which is really personal to you, because you're picking and choosing from different places, putting it together and making something which is like, you're never going, what's the Beatport top 10 doing, or let's just copy that. It's more like the sounds you're choosing. Let's say, for example, right, I love reverse pianos. Those like think of Queen, whatever track it is. It's got a really long reverse piano note. I love that sound, and put a flanger on it. I just love it. So I could use a reverse crash, or maybe some kind of swooshy effect, but that's just putting a sound in for the hell of it, which I do sometimes. But if I use a reverse piano, every time I hear that, it just excites me because I love that sound. So it's just little things like that. It's just trying to pick and choose sounds which are really speak to you, combine them together, and that's how you're going to come up with your own sound. Because only you is going to have that specific music taste. There's no one else in the world who's going to like exactly the same music as you. So if you're combining things from your taste, which is personal to you, it's personal to you, so you can't really avoid coming up with something which it's not maybe going to be a new sound. I mean, that track's not a new sound, is it? But it is something which maybe is going to be different to what someone else is going to come up with, because it's stuff that I love, I suppose. So yeah, I'm going to do a session on that tomorrow, because that's next on in line on here. So yeah, I'll do that, and if I have time, I may even start doing a mix down on this track, because this one's next on the conveyor belt on the release side of things. Guys, I hope you found that interesting. I know it's not the most, it wasn't the most exciting of live streams, but it's amazing actually with vocals. People don't do this stuff. They don't chop out all the extra noise, and then they compress it, and they do all these things to it, and it just becomes, you're just bringing out all that noise. It's just criminal. So if you don't do that kind of thing on your vocals and you watch that video, I've definitely just made your well, I haven't, but you will make your vocals sound much, much better. Okay, guys, hopefully I'll have you back tomorrow.